Hey, everybody. Happy Friday, TGIF. We're here for the Bold Badass Business Show. And I am super excited today that we have in the house Diane Rolston, who is an
Mhm.
acclaimed author, speaker, and creator of the VA Made Easy program, as well as a series of books endorsed by none other than Brian Tracy and all sorts of other incredible intellectual content. But what is great about Diane is she is a delegation diva. I hear I hear anoint you the delegation diva, Diane.
Well, thank
And
you.
yes, you are delegation diva today. And in fact, she's going to give you a lot of things to do to avoid the huge mistakes that business owners make when they try to hire a virtual assistant. So
Mm.
welcome to the show, Diane.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Excited to be here to engage with you and all of the people that are connecting with this today.
Wonderful. And I know that you have been super busy this last week because you were being interviewed by Jack Canfield
Yeah.
and you were out in LA, right? Or was
Yeah.
it in Vegas?
I was LA first with a 2-day mastermind with one of my coaches, and then flew from there over to Vegas. Yeah, to be interviewed by Jack Canfield. And then my normal place I am is North Vancouver, BC. So it was a bit of a whirlwind weekend, but lots of great outcomes and, well, just fantastic to spend some time in Jack Canfield.
That's great. And I hope this weekend you're going to put your feet up
Oh, yeah.
and, delegate to everyone who walks into your presence.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I am looking forward to a long weekend here in Canada. Yeah, it's going to be
That's
great.
great. Well, listen, I want to start really asking you a bit about how you came to get interested in helping people avoid these mistakes that they made hiring VAs. And I'm imagining that it probably comes out of a personal story or two or three.
Well, yeah, because I have I have been a successful coach, speaker, author. You've mentioned a bunch of the things, right? Running a women's community, having a
Right.
podcast, doing all these things, and I was trying to do it all myself,
Mm,
spinning my wheels, and I see that in a lot of my clients as well. And I love efficiency, so I thought, okay, I obviously need to hire someone. So I hired someone in Canada, and I won't go fully into that. I've hired a few people, worked with Canadian assistants for about 6.5 years. And what I realized was I was still doing a lot of the stuff. I
mm,
still, yeah. And it was mainly because I was looking at it almost like an expense in my business rather than an investment. And I was having her to, do so many things, but unless I was willing really to pay a lot more per hour, I wasn't going to get someone who could do a lot of the things I needed them to do. And because I catch on quick and I'm perseverant, I've been able to figure out a lot of things. However, I shouldn't be doing those things,
mm.
but I'd be on my computer on a holiday with family in the bathroom of the hotel so I could just get some work done while everyone else was sleeping. And I was missing out on other things that I wanted to do, or being stressed and lack of sleep because of all the things I still was doing. And because I wasn't getting enough hours because of the higher expense hiring a North American VA, and then because there was still some technical stuff I couldn't pass off,
Mhm.
I wasn't getting the full benefit. And like my assistants were amazing. I'm not dogging them at all. It just wasn't necessarily the right fit for me. So then I thought, okay, well, how can I do better here? And I'd been hiring through Upwork, tried out Fiverr, and
Mhm.
thought, what I'm really missing though is while they're technically more savvy and they can do a lot of things and our personalities were jiving, I really wanted someone to be part of my team, be part of like my little like Diane Rolston family sort of vibe. And I wanted someone long term, but hiring on these kind of temporary sites on a per project basis, every time I was having to reconnect with someone, like connect with someone new, teach them who I was, give
Mm.
them my branding, give them all the information they needed. And I thought, this is not efficient. And even like the hiring the person, and then sometimes I'd hire wrong, and then I thought I was being smart by hiring maybe 3 people to do the same job, hoping that out of one of them I'd get the right result. And so this is how kind of I was doing it. Then I fast forward, I hired two virtual assistants from the Philippines. And why the Philippines? Because someone taught me how to hire in the Philippines. And so I love them. They've been with me over 2.5 years now. Absolutely incredible. And people kept coming to me and saying, how do you do it all, Diane? Well, I used to say, well, I just figure it out. Then I would say, well, I have a Canadian assistant. And then it got to, I have a virtual assistant or two. And people would say, wow, that's so cool. How did you hire them? Or what do you give them? What do you delegate? How do you train them? How do you pay them? What platforms do you use? What tools do you use? And the questions were on and on and on. So with my clients, as I'm coaching them, if they'd say something like, yeah, well, I guess I need a landing page for that. And I'd say, yeah, you do. And then they'd say, well, how do I make a landing page, Diane? And what platform should I use? And then I'd turn around and I'd say, do you want my VA to just make you a landing page? And they go, oh my God, that'd be so amazing. Yes, please. And I'd help to orchestrate the VA making the landing page. And then the client would say, this is amazing. Wow, that was so pain-free. They did it and they did such a great job. Could I use your VA again for something else? And I'd say, sure. What for? And they go, I don't know. Maybe like if we could just do like 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week. And I'm like, great. And so I introduced them. And then the next week I'd say to one of my VAs, hey, Christine, how's it going with so-and-so client? Oh, well, I only worked an hour and 40 minutes because she didn't give me any more work. Hey, Carissa, how's it going with so-and-so client? Well, we're kind of stuck at 3 hours because she hasn't given me any feedback. I can't move to the next step. And this kept happening over and over and over again to the point where I just said, screw it. No one else has used my VAs. This is a waste of their time, a waste of my time, and they're not getting the full use of it. So it's funny. I was at one of these masterminds in Vegas with a whole bunch of speakers, trainers, authors, coaches, and I'm at a dinner. And I believe in giving to your peers. And so we were saying, how do you hire, Diane? And I told them over dinner. And how do you do this? And what do you delegate? And I was just pouring into them and pouring into them and pouring into them. And one of them said, that's all great, Diane. You shared all that stuff, but will you still hire for us? Will you still share your systems and processes?
There's your business.
Like, absolutely not. I have too many coaching programs, too many things on the go. I want to streamline. I don't want to take on more. Yeah. But the beauty is I had a friend there and she gave me kind of a side smile. And I asked her in the ride home, what was the side smile for? And she says, I see the spark in you when you talk about this. I see the excitement you have for these people and that ability to like help them to balance their lives and still build their businesses. This is the solution. And I went, oh, okay.
And it's in perfect alignment with what you're already doing, which is I think the great thing, because I know you do a lot of work with women, as I do too, and we know that for women, anything that's true for a man, just multiply it by 100, and that's how many directions we are pulled in all the time, with children, with pets, with caregiving, elderly, setting the appointments, dealing with our businesses, customer service, operations, technical stuff, all of this. You know, and we really, women burn out. And I think it's so important, you know, what you've created with this program with VA Made Easy. And those of you who are on here, I really hope you'll make a comment about what you've already heard. You know, just make comments. We're not going to judge you. In fact, we love your comments. We love your hearts. We love your engagement. So, you know, even post a joke if you want, as long as it's about burnout, whatever. But
I'm happy to answer questions too, if people have questions. And just to be clear, if you haven't read the title yet of this, VA means virtual assistant, someone who works virtually for you. And in my case, it's not just email and calendar management, data input and research. It is social media content creation and management, video and audio editing, landing page creation, graphic design. Like if it needs to be done in your business, there is a possibility your VA can do it for you.
And I have to tell you all, actually, you'll be happy, Diane, because I did spell out virtual assistant, because I know not everybody is used to it. And they'll say, what are you talking about? Veterans? What do you mean a veterans assistant?
I've had that.
Yeah. So VA is virtual assistant. And, you know, it's basically admin person who may be wherever in the world. And as you mentioned before, I like folks from the Philippines too. I actually had my web designer from the Philippines
Yeah,
because Filipinos speak excellent English,
they do.
probably way better English than any other country that would speak it as a second language, quote unquote. And so
Yeah.
that's a very compelling reason to choose from the Philippines, you know, as opposed to some other countries. And I'm not going to name countries, but that
No,
would
we don't go
sound
there.
terrible. But you know, it really is, the English is very good, very understandable, better than a lot of Americans that they speak. And so I can tell you from experience. And by the way, I will let you all know that I enrolled in Diane's program
Yeah.
several months ago. Maybe it was May or even April. But I went to one of her webinars and I fully did not intend to enroll. Let me just say, I did not intend to enroll at all. I was going more out of curiosity. I knew I needed a VA. I was very clear about that. But there
Yeah.
was so much information there. And what I loved about it is that the system that you've created, Diane, just really offers so much support for
Hmm.
both the VA and the business owner.
Yeah.
And you're like a project manager at some level for the VA. So if there's an issue on either side or both sides, then you will mediate and provide whatever's needed to get through that issue. And you have all those wonderful templates about what to use your VA for, all of these things that you've already got up on Trello that help people manage their VA. There's so much that you've created in an
Hmm.
archive that people can use. And this is the thing. I'm going to just say to everybody, if you get a VA, but you don't know how to use them, you're going to be just like the people Diane was talking about
Yeah.
earlier, who are only using that VA for an hour and really afraid to pass over to them tasks other than maybe the most menial things. And I have my VA doing editing. I have had my VAs doing um, editing of video clips. I've had them doing graphic design. I've had them doing some research items, all sorts of things. In fact, the graphics that you saw for this show were designed by one of the VAs
Yeah.
from VA Made Easy. So I
Yeah.
just have to say to you all, if you really want a convenient, time efficient way to get a VA, you should definitely go to one of Diane's free webinars. That being said, do you have a date for the next one, Diane? Where can they find it? Where can they register?
I
And I'll
don't
tell
have a
them.
date. I don't have a date currently, because I'm actually working on my humorous keynote, my new one
Mhm.
for 2024. But if they just want to email my VA, one of my VAs, Christine, just email team at Diane Ralston and just put
Mhm.
in, sorry, team at DianeRalston.com, and just put in the subject line next VA event. And then
Mhm.
just like let us know, or if you don't want to write anything else, we'll know what that means, and we'll send you a personal invitation to come to one of our next event. They're either called Build Your Business with Ease with the virtual assistant, or Go from Overwhelmed to Ease with the virtual assistant, or Reach Your Goals and Build Your Business with the virtual assistant. So it'll be one of those. And I like to make them interactive so that a lot of other, like if you have questions that you can ask me, because it has been, 8.5 years since I've
Mhm.
started working with someone else. And so sometimes I don't always remember the things, that some of the more basic things that people want to know. And I'm happy to share.
Yeah, isn't that funny? When we get so deeply into our expertise, then we have to kind of go back to beginner's mind, as they say in Buddhism, and say,
Yeah.
what were the big issues at the beginning of my business? Or in this case, when I began to use my virtual assistant. You know, what I have to say about your program is that you really vet your VAs carefully. So how about you tell people about the process they go through
Yeah.
in which you vet them, so that when you match someone who comes
Yeah.
into the program with their VA, chances of it being a great match are extremely high.
Yeah. That's a great question. Thanks for that, Barnsley. Um, so what I was finding are that a lot of people would just like hire someone online without testing their work or testing a lot of the things that are needed to be tested. There's a lot of platforms out there where you can just find a virtual assistant. There's also a lot of companies that will match you with a virtual assistant. And I'm using the word match very loosely, because you might say, I want these tasks done, and they go, these people can do these tasks, and here you go. And then they kind of leave you without supporting you. So what we do is we have about a 2-week process that we take the VAs through. And so just to give you and your listeners some idea of numbers, basically we get about 300 interviews that come in within a 24 to 48 hour period. Now I've trained my VA, Christine. She goes through and she checks that they've passed our covert tests, meaning there are tests that we put in our application that already weed out people who don't have attention to detail. So we already weed out a whole bunch. We probably weed out a third of them in that first spot. Then we move to the next piece and we send them a test task where we, again, test them on their attention to detail, test them on how much do they want this job? Are they going to persevere? I don't want to do my own test task because it's in the weeds. But if they're going to follow it to the T, and then we score that, it's not just, did you complete it? Did you give it to us correctly? How did you do on it? And then we only take people who score a 4 or a 5 out of 5. Again, Christine does all of that, freeing me up to work with my clients. And then the next stage is that we do if they make it through, which actually a lot of people don't even do the test task, which is really funny. We get to maybe 30 or so. We then, of those 30, we give them a written interview where I ask a lot of key questions of things that could kind of be troublesome with working abroad, with whatever country, right? Ask them those things. Then we do an interview. I maybe only interview 12 of those 300. Then I take about 6 of them into a trial period where I test them. And, one of my clients, she came to me already from one of these places where they had given her 3 options and then said, you should do a trial period. And she came back to me and said, I don't know how to do a trial period. What's interesting is I put her 3. I said, okay, I'll put your 3 through my trial period, but they haven't passed all my other tests yet. But if you're okay with that, let's try it out. Not one of her 3 passed my trial period. One of them didn't even show up. So, and then after the trial period, we're testing them based on how good are they? So how good is the quality of their work? How well are they communicating, not just with me, but with my Filipino VA? Are they respectful? Right? That's important. How fast are they? How efficient are they? And how well can they do the things they said they can do, but also how well can they do the things they told me they couldn't do? Can they figure it out? So we test on those 4 pieces. And then after that, we then decide who is the best fit based on kind of a competition between each other, but also competition about every single group we've done. We have standards of how they have to be. Now, does that mean that our process is 150% perfect? No. Sometimes people slip through that we still are like, oh, okay, we didn't catch this before. But we have about a 95% success match rate. And my responsibility, because I care for both sides, my responsibility to the client is I'm going to find you a new match. And my responsibility to the VA is I'm going to find you a new client. So both can feel secure in knowing that they have our support even beyond the hiring. Because a lot of people just go, oh yeah, I just need to hire. No, you don't need to just hire. There's also things that I do in my hiring process that also are setting a stage, a foundation for things like retention. Because the worst thing is if you have to go and rehire, right, or be matched with a new person. So we're looking for retention. We're looking for loyalty. They only work for me and my clients. We're looking to make them feel appreciated and part of a family. We're looking for the right training. So there's so much more that goes into it. And that's why I don't teach people how to hire. You don't need to know, because ideally you never will do the process again. I've hired my 2 and been done.
Love it. Yeah, so you take care of those things, and if there is a match that isn't perfect, and I happen to know that because I've
Mhm.
experienced that, just because of skills, right,
Yeah,
involved and the needs and different personalities, the
yeah,
nice thing is that then it becomes apparent, and I don't have to go and retrain someone, find another person, do all of that, because you've already vetted them, and you can put me with someone that probably will be a better match. You can do that for people, and that's amazing
yeah,
because so much time is lost, which is time that you could be spending everybody on your revenue generating activities. So much time is
exactly.
lost by you trying to figure out all this stuff on your own. And I tell
Mhm.
you, I'm learning this over and over in my business. It's been the biggest learning, I would say, in the last few years is that if I don't know how to do it and I'm not good at it, frickin' find somebody else who is to do
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
that's where having your VA is great. I like the fact that Diane, for example, you have this questionnaire. So those of you who might down the road at some point hire a VA, Diane has this questionnaire where she says, what are the programs you need somebody to know, and what are the things you need them to do in your business? And there's some other
Yeah.
questions, but it allows you, it actually makes you hone down on what are the most important
Mm.
skills, but it also ensures that you're going to receive the right match to do the things that you need done. So if you need a lot of video editing with AI, which I need, for example, should be somebody who is comfortable with that, right? And so this is, think of it this way, when you go to the doctor's office, you don't sit there. You sit there and you fill out the forms and you check all the things that you have going on, right? But you don't think, oh, well, I can take care of this. I can take care of that. I can do this. All these things I checked. Yeah, heart problems. Let me just take care of that. You don't. This is a great way for you to have a diagnostic, so to speak, and then have someone else match you. Uh,
Yeah.
you're like the Yenta for VAs, Diane. Maybe we'll call you Delegation Diva and the Yenta for VAs, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah. And the other piece of it is I train my clients to put systems into play. And I hate making my own systems and processes. So I taught the VA how to document a process. And this is one huge mistake that business owners make is one, they think I can't start with a VA until I have my systems in place, which either takes them way too long or is extremely painful to do. And then
Mm.
the next piece is they get their VA and then they don't make systems or processes.
Oh my,
And they
yes.
don't have their VA do it for them, which means if they do have to either switch VAs,
Hmm.
sometimes I've heard clients come to me and say, I need a VA because mine ghosted me and took off, or
Oh,
mine left because they got a better financial offer or someone who could give them more hours. Whatever it may be, I say, okay, well, we'll just take the systems you've created with them and we'll give them to your next VA. And they go, oh, I don't know, when they left there were no systems in place. And so that's a key thing that I tell my clients, because yeah, if it's not a match, we cut down the training period or the
yeah.
training time that happens to like a quarter, because the new VA just has to go over it. And if you think, oh, mine's going to stay forever, they might
Mhm.
stay forever, but they might move up in your business. And you have someone else that comes in to kind of do those more
Right.
entry level activities. Well, rather than the two of them sitting there on
Yep.
your dime getting trained for 2-3 days, there's just already a library, a catalog of all these systems that they easily just go through and can do the tasks that you need done.
And, having your SOPs, your standard operating procedures is essential. And this is something that I often find people don't have. Now,
Yeah,
it does not have to be a 10-page document about how you do
no.
social media posting. It may just be 9 or 10 steps or even less,
Hmm.
but those steps are there. And your VA can actually record this for you because, like you, Diana, I don't like to record that stuff either, though
Yeah,
I'm very specific about what I want done, and how I don't want to record it. And so the
yeah.
great thing is you can have your VA do it, and then you just come in and check
Mhm.
and add anything, right? If
Yeah.
there's something they missed or if there's something they should be aware of and, troubleshoot. You can add that in, but you're not doing the grunt work, the hard
Yeah.
grunt work that you don't enjoy. And, you know, we all have different management personalities. By the way, I was going to mention earlier when you were talking about how entrepreneurs, right, we just like, I need to hire, and we do it. Well, there's a great interview of you all on the Bold Badass Business Owner Show with Jim Schulman about that very topic. So go back and find it, because he talks about the reasons why entrepreneurs are the worst managers. All right. And it's a really awesome interview. This is why it is so important that we have processes and systems manuals that capture what we're doing in our businesses, so we don't have to retrain. You know, somebody can have a baby, they can go on vacation, whatever happens. And suddenly you've got to fill in for them, or you may, like you pointed out, you know, Diane, you may need 2 or 3 VAs down the road. You have 2 right now, correct?
I do have 2. And when I went to hire, I was hiring 1 and hiring 1 at 20 hours. And I just saw something in both of them that was different and that I needed, right? Christine was like, head down, get work done, follow the steps. I didn't hear much from her, but her productivity was like, boom, boom. All these things were happening. And I was like blown away by her trial period. Then Carissa, she actually, in her one of her early communications with me, said in there, and by the way, on this page of your website, there's a typo. And I thought, if she has the balls to tell me in the hiring process, not even waiting to be hired and then tell me, if she has the balls to tell me then I know that I want her voice in my company to speak up about things. And her creativity was really great. Her graphic design was really great. So I thought, I wasn't quite ready to do 40 hours a week, but I talked to both of them and I said, I'm going to start you both at like maybe 15 hours as we figure this out. And bringing them both on has been so amazing for me, because I do have a lot of moving pieces. So they're both at 20 plus ish hours a week. And like you were saying about going on vacation, this time last year, so that was only about 1.5 years after working with them, I did 1 week in Mexico. Then I flew directly to Hawaii to meet some other friends and did a week in Hawaii, came back for Thanksgiving. Then with my family, we flew to Vegas for a week. So I only worked about 4 days that month. My blog went out every week. My podcast went out every week. My clients were served. All my social media was taken care of. My newsletters went out. My campaigns went out, and more, all taken care of. And that would have been unheard of before. Now, did I check in? Yes, I was on, by the pool, drinking a pina colada.
Drinking your pina colada and talking to them about your new ideas.
And just doing some quick responses. Yes, I still looked things over. Is this good? Is this good? Yep, that looks good. Make this change, dudes. But it was all from my phone, because I have those apps on my phone. And they also, at that point, were a little bit more self-sufficient, following the systems. And one of the other huge mistakes I find that business owners make when they have a virtual assistant is not giving the right feedback. So feeling bad about it, and then like, oh, I'll just fix it myself, but not giving the learning. Not giving the learning. And so when I would say to them things like, hey, I see that you have the testimonials like down on the landing page. They really should be across. The reason is it's taking them too long to scroll down. I want them to just scroll quickly. So I'm explaining things. Or, hey, do you notice how the headshots of all the people giving me testimonials, like this one is far away and this one's really close. I always want there to be consistency in similar things. So this is me giving feedback and doing video feedback, so I can like circle and point to what I'm talking about. And so they start to learn how I like things, my preferences, some of the almost rules or guidelines, especially with design. And then they can apply that from maybe the landing page to a poster they make me, or a social media post, or an event page, or a page in one of my books. right? They start to see patterns and grab the learning. But a lot of entrepreneurs are like, I don't have time, I'll just fix it myself, or I don't like it, but not saying why, or yeah, it's good. And then the learning doesn't kind of evolve. That's how you have someone for long term that's going to work for you better.
Exactly. And that's also a process of understanding what you like and why you like it that way too, which is very great. I mean, it's a great thing to know because then you may create a seminar or a book based on why you make the choices you make in your graphic design or in this or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
it is important, I find, to ask myself, okay, why do I do it this way? And then when I can articulate that, that's another level for me to understand why I have things designed the way I do, or why, as you say, the consistency, why I like
Yes.
consistency too, because that's part of our brand, and brand consistency creates trust and loyalty. So there actually, when there's a good relationship there and someone's open to feedback, then there's actually a great opportunity for the VAs to learn about business and for us to understand, to really get deep about why we do the things we do in business.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting. It is, I used to teach college, and I have to say, I had interns at one point, Diane, and
Yeah.
they were a lot of fun. I had film interns from UNC Chapel Hill.
Hmm.
We had a great time, right?
Yeah.
And for them, I just treated them, I took them to networking events, I took them to conferences, and it was this great mentoring relationship, which I enjoyed. And
Mhm.
I like that. It's so I think bringing that into the relationship a little bit is good too, because when they know that they're valued and they know that you appreciate it, and that, and you get to that point where you're working together pretty seamlessly,
Hmm.
and really, they're able to, you tell them something and they can run with it and bring you a design, and you look at it and say, oh my gosh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I have nothing to suggest. It's perfect. Then
Mm.
that's wonderful. And it does take some time. It definitely does.
It does. It does. And you have to think about, if you were to bring someone into a company, there would be a job description, roles and
Mhm.
responsibilities with your KPIs, your key performance indicators.
Exactly.
So if you say one of your roles is to reply to emails, well, when, how fast, how long, professionally, casually, like, does it need to be edited? Does it need to be perfect? Like, what are your parameters? So having the VA be able to look at that and say, I did that exactly how it was asked. They asked for me to reply within 24 hours or one business day. They asked me to be professional with, like, hello, Mr. So and so. Okay, I did
Mhm.
that. And I didn't use any slang, and I put it through spell check so there were no mistakes. If they can then check it off, then they know they've done a good job. But if it's just kind of willy-nilly around, well, just do these things, then they can't live up to your expectations, and instead you're disappointed, or you think, oh, they just can't do it. And so it takes responsibility. And this was shocking for me because I couldn't understand, why is this falling flat? Why is this not working? And the clients were thinking maybe it's the VA's problem. But
Oh
me,
no, it's on both
stepping back,
sides.
looking at it, going, oh, it's actually the client's fault. And so that's why
Mhm.
I knew the program had to be made, because I have a background also in teaching and training. And so
Mhm.
I would spend a whole week training people, and then they would go and do their job, and then I'd watch them do their job, and then I give them feedback. So there was a lot of my job was training, curriculum development, giving
Mhm.
feedback. And so maybe that's why this came easier to me. Maybe it's because I'm a perfectionist and I like want things done a certain way by myself. And so I'm very clear. Maybe it's because I have a background in ESL. And so I am a
Yeah.
little bit, I
Oh, I
am,
didn't realize that. We
yeah,
have
I
that in
have my,
common.
oh yeah, I spent 3 years in Japan teaching English. Also taught business English, and then moving to back to Canada, I did my TESOL certification. So I worked with
Mm.
immigrants. But the piece I liked more was how they could establish their life and be part of the Canadian culture, and just understand daily life. I like that more than the English piece. And maybe that's part of why I do well with it. But I'm always kind of adapting how I do it and then bringing that into how I teach the clients, but also talking to the VAs about like, hey, your clients want you to be a self-starter. So here's some things you can do to make that happen. And then sharing the systems and processes that I use. I didn't realize that my IP, my intellectual property, would be a huge part of this program. I did not realize.
It's a huge thing. And see, that's the thing. Like when I came to your webinar, and I told you I wasn't going to enroll. Y'all heard me say that earlier. If you didn't, go back and listen. I was not going to enroll because I was like, no, I'm not ready yet. Whatever. All those little excuses we have. But the content was so good. And what I loved about it is I don't want to waste my time doing things that I'm not good at and don't enjoy. And you've heard me say, Diane, when we've had meetings, I suck at XYZ. I have no problem saying I suck at it. And really the reason I suck at it is I'm also not good at it. And I'm not good at it because I suck at it. Like it goes together.
Yeah.
I think we need to be real about what we're not good at. And what we don't enjoy, which are usually one and the same. And what I liked about your program is for everything that I could say, oh, I don't want to do that. There was something already that the VA could go and look at, in the archives that would help them. It could be a video, it could be a process you did. And I also liked that you offer the ongoing coaching every month. So I can come and whatever questions I'm having, I can bring to that. So I just want to say to those of you who are watching, all right, there are a lot of, as we've alluded to earlier, there are a lot of programs out there that will get you a VA, right? They'll get you a VA, but what is that going to do for you if you don't know how to use them, if they don't have the examples and models and information they need to do a good job? What is it going to do for you? It's basically like you've got a really nice Porsche out in your, maybe not even a Porsche, a really nice Toyota RAV out in your, by the way, millionaires drive Toyotas. Just want to say that. You have it out in your
day.
I know, right? And you have it out. It makes sense to me though, because people who are millionaires don't go around and say I'm a millionaire. It's only the people who aren't, who want to get the other things. So you put it out in your driveway, your nice Toyota RAV, and you just never put gas in it. That's what it's like if you go to someone else and you get a VA and they don't know what to do for you and you don't know what to have them do, and there's no training already in place that they can avail themselves of. You're going to spend a whole lot of time trying to figure that stuff out. And I can say for myself, in starting to work with the VA through Diane's company several months ago, and I'm a go-getter and I'm pretty organized in my own fashion, but it does stretch you. It really does stretch you. And about understanding why you do the things you do the way you do. And that's a good kind of stretching. It's uncomfortable, but I think I would be 100 times more uncomfortable if I simply had a VA kind of like that Toyota sitting out of my driveway and was just saying, oh, well, I wish I knew what to do with him or her.
Yeah. And the other piece that I see a lot around having a VA is that people think, oh, I'll just give them these tasks. Or they get excited and they say, I'm going to give them all of this. And then they don't properly manage their own time. So it's the focusing on the wrong type of tasks for you and for your VA. So your VA needs to focus on more of usually the lower impact, maybe the needing lower quality, lower income producing tasks many times, right? They're making your social posts. Does that one social post earn you $1 million? Probably not. Does you making a phone call to a prospect, could that make you $1 million or even $1,000? More than likely. Yeah. So the key thing is if you're going to pass off work, you need to be taking on high level, high quality, high income producing tasks. See, the problem I see in business owners is they don't have enough time for cash flow activities. So calling leads, following up after a vendor event or a speaking event, building relationships, showing up where they need to show up, or creating the services, products that they're going to sell. So they just don't have enough time to do those things. So they don't make enough money. in an
And you're
ideal.
focused on the busy work, which actually, if you take
Yes.
the 80-20 rule, the 80-20 rule applied to productivity is that 80% of what you're doing only produces 20% of your results, which means 20% of what you're doing actually produces 80% of your results. And what I always
Yeah.
say is stop doing the 80 or delegate it out, the 80% that's not doing
Yes.
much, and put your time on those income producing activities, those IPAs or RGAs, revenue generating activities, because those are the things that are going to keep you in business. Those are the things that are
Yeah.
going to pay your electric bill. And you have to keep in mind the value of your hour, you know?
Yep.
And
For sure.
let's say you say that you coach for $300 an hour. I'm just making that up because it's an easy number.
Yeah.
Truthfully, you're not making 300 an hour, because outside of that 1 hour you spend coaching, you have at least 2 hours of marketing and other stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
So divide that 300 by 3 at least. Same for consultants. And that's about what you're making per hour. And so let's say you make that 100 per hour. We divided the 300 by 3. The value of your hour is about $100.
Mhm.
Well, why would you not hire someone for $10 or $15 an hour to do something that they can do much faster than you can do it?
Yeah.
You're losing money on both ends.
Exactly. Exactly. And maybe some people listening right now are like, I would never hire abroad. I want to hire in my own country. I want to help
Yeah,
my local economy. And I just want to speak to that
that's
because
good.
I did hire locally for 6.5 years. Every other part of my business, I hire locally in Canada unless I have met someone, usually in the States, that offers a product or a service that I need, that I feel like they're the best fit for it. So when I looked at this, there was a part of me that was feeling like I should keep the money in our economy here in Canada or even in the States. You guys are my older brother, my bigger brother over there, sort of deal. uh, but when I looked at it, I thought, why does it have to be someone local if they're not meeting my needs that I specifically need? And the investment is higher because when I hire someone local, usually they're a specialist and they're potentially charging 50 to
Mhm.
150 per hour. And that's only more like virtual assistant specialist. I'm not even talking about like specialists for social media or any of these sort of things. Um, I thought I can do less with my money and I want to donate more to women's shelters. I want
Exactly.
to keep my services at a level where my ideal client is like no brainer.
They can
Let's
do it.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in working with people with the virtual assistants from the Philippines, I find that they are extremely competent, if not more than the people that would be 2 to 3 times per hour what they were, being
Mm.
hired at. I
Okay,
find that
did everybody hear that? Let me pause you, Diane. I want you to repeat that, and y'all listen up. Okay.
what the part about that they
The
are probably
competency. Mhm.
yeah, they are highly, highly competent and they are driven to figure things out because they've come from that way of being. A lot of them will come in and I'll say, what experience do you have in this platform or this task? And they'll say, oh, well, I actually haven't worked with anyone, but I did a 2 week trial with the software. I did a weekend
Mhm.
course on this. I watched 100 YouTube videos on it and learned
Yeah,
how to use the software. They are so
they're
dedicated.
resourceful.
The next piece that I really love is that they're so grateful. They are
Mm.
so grateful for the work. And because of that, I just feel like we get along really well. Because
Mhm.
I love being in gratitude and I love being generous. And so
Yeah.
we just had a couple of our VAs celebrate their 1 year. And Christine, one of her tasks is to send them a cake according to
Oh,
their
nice.
preferences of what they like. So two of our VAs got cakes yesterday, and
Aw.
I got a little WhatsApp message with the photo of the cake and a thank you so much. One of them did a video for me, holding the
Aw.
cake, thanking me for it. And it's not to say that someone in Canada or the States won't do that, but I see the impact on their lives. And also, please don't pay your VA $2 or $3 an hour. Yes,
Mm-mm.
you can get people that do it. I ask them, what do you want to be paid? I don't pay them that because sometimes a lot of them are like $3 an hour. And I say, no way. Don't do that, because one, business wise, you want retention. They're not going to stay with
Yes.
you. They're going to resent you. You're not going to have a good relationship, and you're not going to feel good about it either. And then the other thing around paying them, what we do is we look at what do they need to live? What are all those expenses that they have? We had someone who lives in the Philippines, who's a VA, actually put this together for us. Then it was, well, what are the nice to haves? Savings, healthcare, private school, vacation money. What are all those things, right? And then what are the extras to invest and to maybe build a home? And I don't know how many, I forget what they're called, COEs, where it's a certificate of employment. I have done so many certificates of employment because now this is allowing this person and this family to get a home loan, a car loan, a loan for a new computer, to finally get the dental services they need, to buy an air conditioner.
Yep.
Like I feel now a sense of calling to support. A lot of times
I love that. Diane, I love that. I'm getting chills. I just have to say something, and that is, my daughter, I don't know if you know this, my daughter's half Peruvian. So we've spent a lot of time in Peru, and Peru is a developing nation, as are, though some people would say, oh, it's very well off in many ways in South America. But the truth of the matter is that people can live there on about $400, $500 a month, US dollars a month.
Yeah.
And so while we may say, well, I don't want to hire outside the United States, what I would say to you is, what does it matter? Because somebody is supporting their family. They're supporting their family through what you're being a benefactor. You're helping support their family. And I certainly had that same experience that you're talking about with the person who worked on my website some years ago. And she had a daughter who was about the same age as my daughter, and her daughter didn't have a bed. And I just gave her a bonus because she'd done such good work. I was like, go use this for your daughter's bed. And so she sent me pictures of the bed, and it was like this big deal, So I would just say to everybody, if you think that it's not good to hire somebody from outside the United States, we're all important. Everyone is important in every country. And you may be, especially in a country where there are extended family networks, you may be supporting somebody who's supporting 8 family members.
True.
And,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And, my feeling too is that my sole purpose in the world is to empower women. And I feel like I'm doing that in multiple countries now, which is amazing. And I feel so blessed and so grateful that I have these 2 people that have been really gifted to me to work with me. And now that the fun that we can have is such a full team, it's absolutely amazing.
I love it. I love it, Diane. And, something I'm thinking about too, as people are hopping in and off today, and I hope those of you who are hopping in and off, I know you're probably trying to finish up your work day, or, go out to dinner or something with your friends, depending on where you are. But go back and listen to the whole episode, because Diane has a wonderful program. I have invested in it, and I have gotten my VA through her program, VA Made Easy. I'm very grateful for the program because it has saved me so much time and energy. And one thing that I think is really cool about what you do too, Diane, as we start to kind of work towards wrapping up in the next few minutes, is you have those books, and I think you have them behind you, right? Your books.
I have a few. I have a few of my books.
Your books. Let's have some show and tell. And I'm going to be in Diane's next book called Trailblazers Women, Trailblazing Success Women, Trailblazers.
Trailblazer Secrets. So I'll talk about those first, since you wanted to ask about them. And then actually I want to just share one final point with people about what I would say is the biggest mistake that people make that stops them from hiring someone. So I'll maybe share that after. So we do the Dynamic Women series, secret series books. And so the first book in the series is this one, Success Secrets, where we have, in this case, 52 authors sharing their secrets, their tips, their stories around success. And then we did Confidence Secrets. So another amazing group of women who are sharing their secrets and stories about confidence. And then we're doing the Trailblazer book this year, which will be coming out in the next few, like the next month or so. So you'll want to stay connected to Barnsley's feed and all of her stuff, because she'll be announcing that, and you can get your book through her. And then there's my very first book was actually called Dynamic You, which is the 9 pillars of being a dynamic woman, because I have the dynamic woman community and dynamic women programs. People are like, what does it mean to be a dynamic woman, Diane? And so I thought, okay, we will create the book, and it's a program as well. And what I love about this is, for those who maybe can't afford to come into one of my programs, they can buy the book. Also, yes. I donate the books to women in shelters. Now, not intended for them to use it while in the shelter, but as they leave the shelter, in fact, they have something to teach them about how to design relationships, how to be magnetic, how to prioritize yourself. Or there's just a few examples, really helping them. And because I have clients' stories and comments from when I did the program, their bios in the back, their comments are through it. So as you go through it, you feel like you're in a group program. Now, ideally, you take the group program with me, but this way, at least the people who maybe don't have that opportunity can feel like they go through it and still have a great result.
And all of you business owners, I want you to listen to that, because there's a great big hidden nugget for you. And that is always have your high ticket items that are like comprehensive programs, and have something that just the average person who doesn't have extra money, that you could gift that to them. You could give it as prizes in a giveaway. They could purchase it for a very small investment. Have a variety that you offer, so that you can serve people at all different levels. I've never been comfortable, Diane. This is never been comfortable with those folks who are like, I only work with people for $100,000 now. And I think, okay, well, that's great. To me, it's like, we need to be where we're most needed. And that's not just the highest echelons of society. That is, we may be most needed in a shelter. We may be most needed in an animal rescue organization. I do a lot of animal rescue too. So I want to ask you, Diane, because I put this up here and then I was thinking maybe I should have asked her first. Do you still have just a couple of spots in the Trailblazer book open for authors? Do you?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
good. I'm glad. I should have asked you before I put it in the comments.
No, I do have a few spots. So what I encourage you to do, if you are wanting to be an author this year, and it's a plug and play, done for you, you get your spread in the book, and we do everything else. We edit it, we format it, we publish it, we get you copies at wholesale rates so you can make money off of the book, or use it as a kind of a lead for clients.
Yeah.
We create all the promo material. We have a course for what to write about. We have a course for when you get the book, how to like sell it. And so all of that is done for you. And so if you are interested, and you've heard about us through this, please email me. You can email me directly, Diane@DianeRolston.com, and just say, hey, I heard you on Barnsley's
Bold Badass Business Owners Show.
Bold Badass Business, or just say, I heard you
Barnsley. I have
you through Barnsley, and I'll secure one of those spots for you. It is a pay to play. So just so you know, that's fully, transparent, and we can share more information with you when you email us.
And I want to say something about that, you all, because I hear so many people say, I want to be an author, and I have books. I've been published in all sorts of stuff. Even in academics, I've published in some of the best journals in my field, in the Oxford Companion to African American Literature out of Oxford University. So I've done a lot of publishing stuff. But the reason that being in something like this is so great is because you don't have to write the whole book. You're just going to write a very short article. I wrote mine. Mine is entitled "Do the Dang Thing." And I tried to keep it clean. I took out the bad word and I put dang
Thank you.
DANG. Y'all will be proud of me, because I do like to swear a little bit. But I took that out, and it was a lot of fun to write. And then you have your bio, and you can put in a call to action where you
Yep.
can have them come in and opt in for your freebie, or you can have them come have a complimentary session. So it can be a great generator of business. But also, you think about it, there are over 50, right, Diane?
Yeah. Yeah.
Over 50 authors in there. And so you get the power of over 50 people sharing this with their networks,
Yes.
right? And imagine, like, my network is easily over 10,000 easily in my stuff. And so imagine that. Just take me as like, maybe I'm not average. I think I'm kind of abnormal, period. But take 10,000 and multiply
Yes.
it by 50. And what do you get? 500,000, right? Is that right? I was never good at math, Diane.
Let's just say a lot of eyeballs
You get a lot of
on you
eyeballs.
and your bio and your brand and your message. And we really encourage people. This is not just a fly through it type of book. This is read their story, their secrets, read their bio so you know where they're coming from, and implement something from that.
Yes.
And then go and find out more about them. Like, go follow them on whatever platform that they've put in, and really have that be part of the experience. It's not just about us throwing out a story. There's a lot of strategy there that I share about. And I want this to be something that will boomerang business back to people. And if people are like, I don't have a business, you have a message still, and you want to share it in a legacy and have a ripple effect out. So you still want it to go out in the world. So it's a great opportunity. And I feel like I've been given a platform. When I go and speak, I sell books. When I go and do masterminds, I bring books. When I travel to other places, I bring a few books. And so I'm always, there's so many great women that I meet, and I want to be sharing their stories and their expertise out into the world.
And it's true that wherever you go, when you mention or you talk about, maybe talk about what you talk about or you write about, people will say, well, how can I get your book? And so you want to just have it on hand. I can't tell you how many, I probably look like a drug dealer, how many times I've put the lift gate up on my car and I've got books in there and I'm signing them, right? We should just put on hoodies as I'm signing them, because somebody followed me out of somewhere and said, hey, can I get one of your books? It is just instant credibility for you. And plus, these books have been endorsed by Brian Tracy. And if you don't know his work, I love his book, Eat That Frog, for instance. He's amazing. Productivity and time management expert, business expert, very well known, on a par with Tony Robbins and these folks. And so just to be able to say in your business, hey, I'm published in Trailblazer Secrets. Did I get that right?
You did. Yeah, you should know the book you're in. Yeah, but it's okay. It's not out yet.
and as endorsed by Brian Tracy, and immediately you're just having incredible credibility by that association. I call it, some people call it borrowing authority, but in that case, you're in proximity with a great business expert, and that creates more credibility for you. Plus, when you go to speak somewhere and you go to speak for free, for instance, I know some people on here want to be speakers, or maybe you're a coach and you want to be able to speak too. It frees you. When you have a product, you can go speak for free. And I have gone to free things where I walked away with thousands of dollars of business. Why? Because I had audio CDs, because I had books, because I had motivational card decks there. Sure. And if people like what you say, they're going to want to, what do you have? They'll get it. They'll get it for gifts. They'll get it for themselves. They'll get it and read it themselves and then give it as a gift.
Exactly.
So you want to be prepared, folks. Well, my goodness, this has passed so fast. I just looked at the clock and I was like, "Oh my God, Diane, we gotta close here." What happened?
Yeah, we do.
So fast, but you gave us so much. Would you tell everybody? They already can email you. It's in the comments. You can email to find out about the next free webinar about VA Made Easy. And also it's DianeRolston.com. You can go there and get books, etc. And would you like to give everybody a freebie super fast? or something
Yes.
fun.
Yes. So maybe what we went through today was pretty quick. And, I didn't get to cover all the mistakes. So what my freebie, the thing to share actually is letting people know the 5 critical problems to avoid when delegating. Why? So you can maximize your time and increase your profits. Because as I said, at the end, I was going to share what one of the mistakes was, is that people have shiny object syndrome. They like, oh, I'd be cool to do this. It'd be cool to do this. Really, one of the things around delegating is you need to look at what are my goals for my business and how can my VA support that. So your first step, grab this 5 problems of delegating.
You can pop it right over there. And while you're doing that, I'll remind everybody that you can also get, and this goes perfectly with Diane's offering. Oh no, where did she go? I think she fell off here. But you can get her 5 things to avoid when you are delegating. There she is. She's back. Woohoo! She's back. All right. I was just saying, go get that at Diane. I figured it was DianeRalston.com. And while she's popping that in there, let me quickly say, you all, this goes well with what she's offering. You can go to spirited-solutions.com and you can get how to overcome overwhelm in 7 easy steps. And you can use these together. Diane, it has been great to have you. Everyone, have you received value? Put a yes, yes, yes. And please share this with someone who's struggling in their business, someone who is pulling their hair out because they're burned out. And share it, like it, and please subscribe to my YouTube. Help me out so that we can continue to provide amazing guests at the Bold Badass Business Show every week, 4:30 Eastern on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Thank you, Diane, for coming. We appreciate you.
It's been amazing. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Barnsley.
All right. See you soon. Be bold and be a badass, all.
Bye, everyone.